Right, so we are going to do one question regarding to the log function, log graph that we just did. Okay, so then you have an example to follow when you are doing the homework. Okay, so your homework question will be like these ones. Number 6. Okay, so number 6 basically cover everything we learned in the before the break, right? It asks you to write and graph the inverse of each of them from number 5. Number 5 is talking about this one, right? Here you have 4 functions, right? These ones are all exponentials. So you need to turn those into inverse first, okay? You need to follow the 3 steps, right? Switch X and Y, and then do the counterclock, right? That thing, and then turn them into inverse. After that, you need to graph them, okay? Graph the inverse, okay? So, and then after you done those, right, get the inverse graph, you have to write the domain, write the range, and the asymptotes, okay? So basically everything we just covered. So let's take a look at how we do the graph, okay? So let's say, suppose after you change it into inverse, okay, well, back to page 106. After you change to inverse and the equation look like question 8, right? Now you want to graph this. In the graph, you don't need to make a table, okay? All you need to show is to show me the important points, the asymptote line, okay? You can also show me the, if there's intercept, right? You can show me where they are. So first you identify the base, okay? What's the base for this function? Evan, what's the base for this function?
Is it x plus 5 or 10?
10, yes, okay. If it's not there, it's invisible, then it's 10, okay? They don't need to show it. If it's other than 10, okay, like question C, you have a 0.5, like question D, you have a 5, then you see it, okay? If you don't see it, right away, it's a 10. So because base is 10, okay, because the base equals to 10, this is bigger than 1, right? So we know the graph is increasing. Okay, so first thing you need to identify is the base to tell you whether it's increasing or decreasing. So you look at your table here. If it's increasing, then it belongs to this graph. Okay, so it'll be increasing, going upwards. And the asymptote line will be vertical, right? The red line. Okay, so you will compare with, you can draw a little graph, all right? So then you remember the shape. So it goes this way. Okay, Caleb, do you have any questions? Okay. Yep. So now
I have no questions.
Okay. So we compare with y equal log. If we take away all the extra stuff, right? X. There's a +5. There's a -2. The +5 is with the x. So it has to do with the moving left and right. So if it's x plus 5, is it moving to the right or is it moving to the left? Marcus?
Sorry, what was the question?
You see x plus 5, which way does it move the graph? Which way?
To the right.
It's actually to the left. Okay, if you remember from transformation, okay, x plus 5 is moving to the left. Okay, so this means left 5. Okay, -2. What does -2 do, Nick?
It like moves the graph down 2.
Yeah, this one will be moving down too. Okay, so be careful here. If you see an x minus 5, then it's moving to the right by 5. Okay, but if it's outside the brackets, you see minus, it'll be down. If you see a plus, it'll be going up. Okay, so we are moving the original graph left 5 down 2. Okay, original is referring to this one, the one in the circle here, yellow circle. Okay, so we want to move that. The point that is most important is the intercept, this point. Okay, so we're gonna move that point, which is 1, 0. We move it to the left by 5, so it become -4. Move it down by 2, will be -2. Okay, so we graph that, right? -4, 2, 3, 4, -2, 1, 2. So you have your new point. And then the asymptote, okay? Asymptote used to be x equal to 0 because it's moving to the left by 5. So now it becomes at -5, will be here. Asymptote, if you move up and down, it's still the same place, right? Only left and right, it will shift it. And we know it's increasing. So we just draw an increasing graph. Done. Same shape, all right? Because it's increasing with the log. So that's all you need to show me, okay? Show me an important point. Show me the asymptote line, okay? Now you can start answer the domain, range, and asymptote. All right, so please answer those 3 things and raise your hand. Okay, please write out the domain, range, and equation of asymptote. Yeah, Angela, what's the domain? Angela, are you there? Yep.
I'm not sure.
Domain is it X or Y?
X?
Okay, so you look at the graph. Every point, right? If I draw a lot of points there, every point on this graph, is it going to the right forever or going to the left forever?
No.
Or which way? Is it going to the left forever or going to the right forever?
To the right forever.
Yeah, going to the right forever. So to the left, there's a limit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So so it's getting, if you're trying to go to the left, it's getting closer and closer to what x values?
-5.
Yeah. So the graph has to stay on the right side of -5, right? So what would you say the x value, the domain?
X is greater than -5.
Yeah. Okay, so its domain is just describing what kind of x value you can see on the graph. All the x value you can see has to be bigger than -5. Okay, it's just describing where the graph is. And Sophie, what's the range?
Y equals a real number.
So this one, the y goes up forever, goes down forever. There's no limit to it, right? So we just say a real number. So you can apply transformation to the log function, right? So what you learn in your first chapter, right? You can apply here, the RST. Okay, equation of asymptote, Willem. What's the equation of asymptote? Willem? Willem, are you there? Willem? Okay, how about you, Nick? Do you know the equation of asymptote?
Is it negative 2?
Equation of asymptote is the red dashed line, this line.
Oh, sorry, negative 5.
Is it x equal to -5 or a y equal to -5?
X equals to negative 5.
Yeah, okay. Right, because it's moving left and right, so it has to do with x, okay? Even though the line goes up and down, any point you pick on the asymptote line, the x coordinate is always -5, okay? That's why we call that x equal -5. All right, so you need to know how to do this, okay, for your homework. So I will be giving you like this, right? You'll have these 4 exponential, and then you need to change them into inverse, which will have log, right? And then you graph those log functions. And after that, just state the domain, range, and asymptote equation. Okay, do we have any questions? How to draw the graph, how we got this graph? You don't need a full table of 5 points, okay? All you need to show is this important point where it goes, right? This is a -4, -2, and also the asymptote line. Okay, please raise your hand if you are okay with this one. Okay, so we are going to start on book 2 now, right? So please take out your book 2. Okay, okay, Jenny, no problem. All right, so book 2. Yeah. So let's take a look at what's in book 2, okay? Right, so can you raise your hand if you are on the table of content? Okay, you can see that it has a lot of pages. We are not going to cover everything, okay? And I'll explain to you why. Okay, Angela, Caleb, Eric, Waylon, do you have the book? Please turn to this page. Okay, so the conics, okay, you see this topic, conics on page 61. That one is optional, okay? Before, I think the last year, okay, last year, because we finished the whole grade 12 earlier, so some school teacher, they add this topic into their teaching, okay, so that's why I include that here. But since we couldn't finish the curriculum earlier, so this one, right, depending on the teacher, some teacher will include that, some teacher won't, okay? So conics, we won't be doing that, okay? So this is called, this is the option. So what we'll be covering is polynomial, equation, polynomial function, okay? And rational function. Sequence and series, I'll be sending out the videos for you to watch by yourself. This one is easier to understand, okay? Because you have done arithmetic sequence and series before. So it should be easy to follow. It has to do, basically you just need to plug in into the formula, okay? So not as complicated as other questions, all right? So we'll be covering the first 3 topics, and then the 4th one after we complete the lesson, because we have, including today, we have 4 classes, okay? So we'll be doing 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? To finish those 3 topics. And then sequence series, you can watch it at your on your own pace, right? At your own pace. And if you have questions about the videos, you can just send it in on Google Classroom, okay, to ask me. So all the videos and the notes will stay online for at least 2 years, okay? So in case you need to take it, review it, next year when you take it at school, then you can still go back, okay? Any questions? We're gonna start on our polynomial equation now. So what I would like to go over is how to divide, okay? How to divide polynomials. So let's start with this one, okay? We have 2 ways to divide. One is called long division, one is synthetic division. This one is on page 3. This part is called the dividend, okay? And then divided by x minus 2. So this is called the divisor. So it's the same way when we do long division for just numbers. The dividend goes to the inside, okay? So you put 4x cubed minus 11x squared. Now, because you can see that it doesn't have the x term, right? It's skipping x to the 1. So you need to have a plus 0x to save a space, okay? And then before you write the 12, and then plus 12. So it goes down in descending order, right? 4x cubed, x cubed, and then x squared, and then x, and then no x. Okay, so dividend goes inside. And then the divisor will go outside, x minus 2. Okay, so please set this up before we start dividing. Okay, please raise your hand if you finish setting up. Okay, Angela, Jenny, and Justin. Right, so we are going to proceed with the synthetic division at the same time so that you can compare left and right together, okay, to see what's going on. Because we are more used to the long division, but long division takes longer, right? More work to write. So let's look at if we want to set up synthetic division. First, you will solve the divisor equal to 0. Okay, so you take your divisor x minus 2 and you make it equal to 0 and you solve for x. So x equal to 2. Okay, so your first step is to do that. And then you draw a box, or a half box, okay, like this, with enough height to fit 2 rows, okay, 2 rows here, okay. And then your divisor, the value that you solve, you put it on the left side. Inside, you will put the dividend, right? The dividend, instead of writing out all the x, we just put them in descending order of the coefficients, okay? So the first coefficient is 4, negative 11. And then once again, we are skipping a term, right? So you need to put a 0, okay, and 12. So this is the setup for synthetic, okay? You can compare left and right. On the left side, you have x's. On the right side, you don't have any x, okay? That's why it saves time. Okay, please raise your hand if you finish setting up for the synthetic division. Okay, so now let's take a look at long division now. To find out what should go into the quotient, okay? Quotient is referring to the answer you put at the top, quotient. Okay, so you compare the x, the first term with the first term, okay? X needs to times it by what to become 4x cubed? Okay, you ask yourself, x times what will be 4x cubed? Eric, what do you think? X multiplied by
X squared.
x multiplied by x squared will be x cubed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but we want to get 4x cubed.
4x squared.
Yes, okay, so we need to multiply by 4x squared. So we will put the 4x squared above the x squared column. Okay, you compare the first term with the first term to figure out what to multiply. Okay, so this 4x squared will multiply these two, right? Multiply both terms. So 4x squared times x will give you 4x cubed. 4x squared times negative 2. Okay, multiply both of them. All right. multiplied by -2 will give you -8 x squared. Okay, so after that, you draw a line and you subtract. Okay, just like the way you do dividing with numbers, right? Think about, for example, you have 15, divide by 2, you multiply by 7, and you write a number underneath and you subtract, right? Very similar. So now here we subtract, the 4x cubed will cancel out, right? That's why we look at the first term. We want to cancel out the first term. So you subtract the x squared part, -11 minus -8, I give you -3 x squared. The other ones just keep on dropping down. Okay, so now your first term become this one. So now we repeat the same process, okay? So x times it by what can give you -3x squared now. Okay, Waylon?
3/4.
X
Wait.
multiplied by something to give you -3x squared.
Oh, negative. Wait, let me think. -3x.
Yes, okay, so you compare I underline with the pink color, right? The first term with the first term. Divisor, you compare with the inside. So we need -3x. You take that, repeat the same thing, we multiply into the divisor. So that will give you -3x squared plus 6x. And we subtract. Am I going too fast? Can you raise your hand if you can follow up to here so far? Callum, Chris, and Eric, do you have any questions so far? Any steps? Okay, so Callum, what should we do now?
Oh, I think we're supposed to subtract it now
That's
and
right.
then bring,
So
sorry,
what?
no, we add 0 x to 6x and then bring down to 12.
Yeah, so subtract them, right?
Yeah.
So what do you get after you subtract?
Oh, you get minus 6x plus 12.
That's right, very good. Okay, so -3x squared, -3x squared, they will subtract each other and they are gone. Okay, so now our first term becomes this one, -6x. So back to the beginning, we do the same thing. We compare with the divisor x. X times what can give you -6x? Susan?
-6.
Yeah, so we put the -6 as our last term, right? So you see everything lines up. All the x squared lines up, all the x lines up, all the constant lines up. Okay, now we multiply into the divisor again. You get -6x plus 12. Okay, and it turns out the same. That means you don't have any remainder. So 0 is at the bottom. This is called the remainder. The one on the top, that's our quotient. Okay. So let's see how we can do the same thing using synthetic and how it can help us save time, right? How does it faster? Right, so to do the synthetic, instead of writing all the x, first step, you just drop down the 4. Okay, so this 4 is like the 4x squared already. Okay, and then remember after we got a 4, we need to multiply the divisor, right? So we're gonna do the same thing here. The 4 is going to multiply with a 2, which give you 8, right? But then you write the 8 over here. You cross over, write the 8. And then instead of subtracting, you will be adding. Okay, so first you cross over. After you multiply, you cross, and then you add. Okay, cross the number, cross the answer over and add them up. So -11 plus 8 is -3. This -3 is like the -3x. Okay, we're gonna do one more time. We take the -3, multiply with the 2, and you cross. -3 times 2 is -6, right? You put -6 there. And then we add them up. 0 plus -6 is -6. This -6 is our answer on the left side. Okay, we still have one more space to fill in. Okay, so we take the -6, multiply with the 2. -6 times 2 is -12, and then we cross, put that there, put the answer there, and add. So you just do two things, cross over and add. You get 0. This 0 at the end, that's the remainder. Okay, and then the thing here, this is the quotient. But you only see numbers, right? You cannot leave your quotient with only numbers. So you need to write them in, fill in the variable, okay? So if your dividend is x cubed, your quotient will be 1 lower, 1 degree lower. So you start with 4x squared minus 3x and minus 6 to be the quotient. Okay, so you can see that it saves a lot of space and time to write out all the x, and you just need to do cross and add with numbers. Okay, can you raise your hand if you understand how to do synthetic, the steps? Let me know if any step here, okay, you got lost, okay? I'm trying to go slowly, but sometimes because of internet, you might get lost.
Jason,
Yeah, Susan?
can you explain how do we know what variables to use at the end when we get the quotient for the synthetic?
Okay, so you look at the dividend, the first term is 4x cubed, right? Okay, so the quotient will be 1 exponent lower. So if it's start with x cubed, then your quotient will start with x squared.
Okay.
Okay, if the dividend is x to the 4, then your quotient will be x to the 3, right? It will be 1 degree lower. Does that answer your question?
Yes. So if it was x, would it just become a normal number then?
Yeah, it will go down. Yes, but if it's like that's the case, they probably won't even ask you to divide because it's too small. Yeah, usually you get at least square divided by something with x.
Okay, I see. Thank you.
Yeah. So once you got all the coefficients, just go down, right? Start with x squared and then x to the 1 and then constant. Okay, Evan, Jocelyn, and Marcus, do you have any questions about any steps? Right, so we're gonna practice, okay? Practice just the synthetic, okay? Because synthetic is the one we're gonna use throughout the chapter because it's faster, okay? So here we have two questions. Question A has root, but don't worry about that, right? It's it just treated like a the same way, okay? Even though it has a square root. All right, so let's try this one together. Step one, you need to solve, right? So x minus root 3 equal to 0. X equal to what, Evan? Evan, are you there?
Yes.
Yeah. Isolate the x, what do you get?
Is it plus root 3?
Yeah,
Positive root 3?
positive root 3. Very good. You just move it over, okay? Now we need to set up the synthetic division box. All right, Lily, what goes inside? What numbers?
The 2,
Mm-hmm.
4,
Mm-hmm.
no, -4,
-4,
and then -9.
-9. That's it, only three numbers. Remember, sometimes we need to fill in the 0, right? Do we need to do that as well here?
Yes.
Where do we need to put in the zeros?
Between the -4 and the -9.
Okay, anywhere else?
Uh,
Are we also skipping any other terms?
between the 2 and the -4.
Yes. Okay, if you look at the dividend, right, you have x to the 4, but then you don't have x to the cube, right? It's skipping, and then jump to x squared, and then there's no x, and then jump to -9. So there are two terms that's missing, okay? So you need to add a 0 for the x cube. You need to add a negative, put a -4 there, that's for x squared, right? And then another 0 for the x, and -9. Okay, what goes to the outside, Marcus? Marcus, what number do we put on the outside?
Root 3.
Yep, root 3. Okay. All right, so everyone please try this out. First step is to drop down the 2, and then you start to do cross add, okay? Cross and add, cross and add. And then final number should be the remainder, okay? So each of the number you need to multiply with the divisor. Okay, you can ask me if you are stuck. Okay, otherwise, if you finish all the way to remainder, please raise your hand. I'll do one number for you. Okay, so 2 times root 3, I will put 2 root 3 there. We add, we get 2 root 3. Okay, and then you need to multiply it again before you cross. So Philip, what number goes under -4? Philip, did you say something?
6.
Yes, very good, 6. Okay, root 3, 2 root 3 times root 3 is 6. We add, we'll give you 2. Okay, please continue this cross and add until you get the remainder. Okay, Nick, do you know what number goes under the 0?
I'm not sure.
You take the 2. Do you know how we got the 2?
Yeah, because like the other two went down, right? Like from the 2 root 3.
2 root 3. I'm talking about this 2. How we got this 2?
I'm not sure.
You add the -4 and 6.
Oh, okay.
Okay, do you know how we got the 6?
Was that from like 2 root 3? Like you put the wait, no. I'm not sure.
You take the 2 root 3 here, multiply with the divisor.
Okay.
Do you know how to multiply those two?
Yeah, so it's 2 root 3 times root 3, so that'd be like 2 times root 9.
And how would that become 6?
You like root 9 is 3, so 2 times 3 is 6.
Yes, very good. Okay, so first you need to multiply divisor before you put it at the top, and then you add them up. Okay.
Mhm.
So now we continue, right? We take this 2, multiply by the divisor. What's that?
2 root 3.
And then you cross over, you put it here.
Okay.
Okay, what do you do next?
Add the 0 and 2 root 3.
That's right. What do you get?
2 root 3.
Yeah, and then we repeat the same process. Okay, so now we start with 2 root 3. We take that number. What do we do?
Multiply by root 3.
Yeah, and then what do you get?
6.
And where do we put it?
Underneath the -9.
Very good. And what do we do?
Add.
Yeah, and you get?
-3.
Yeah, okay. So it's like a assembly line, right? You keep on doing the same thing over and over until you reach the end of the line, right?
Okay.
So the final box here is called the
remainder.
remainder. Right?
Yeah.
Remainder. Okay, and Susan, how do we write out the quotient now?
Two x cubed
Mm-hmm.
Plus
Yeah.
plus 2 root 3 x squared
Yeah, very good.
plus 2x
Mm-hmm.
plus 2 root 3.
Yeah, plus 2 root 3. You just go down in order. X cubed and a square and an x and then no x, right? Once you got all the coefficient, you just fill in the x values. Okay, so just be careful. You need sometimes in the box, right? You need to fill in the zeros, right? If it's missing a term. Okay. Does anyone have questions how this is done? Okay, can you raise your hand if you understand how we get the quotient? And please write down the remainder, okay? Equal to -3. So in the homework, I'll be giving you questions similar to this. So you need to find out the quotient, find the remainder, okay? So all these are the skill that we need in order to do the polynomial equation, okay, for next week. So if you still have question about how to do synthetic division, you can stay after class. And if you haven't handed in the homework, please also stay, okay? And rest of you, I'll see you next week. All right, have a good weekend.
Thank you.